Hafaday, and welcome to another episode of My Story. I'm your host, Janella Carrera. Most of the episodes you've seen on our show share stories of those afflicted by cancer and their experiences. But in today's episode, we sit down with a man who's, and there's no nice way of putting this, literally on his deathbed. Julius Hunt, as his hospice nurses describe, is deteriorating and is showing classic signs of dying. Fortunately, we got a chance to interview him, as uncomfortable as it might be. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of My Story. I'm your host, Janella Carrera. As I mentioned, this episode introduces you to Julius Hunt, a homeless man who was diagnosed with cancer a little over 6 months ago and is now literally on his deathbed. Hi, Julius. Thank you for joining us in this episode of My Story. I understand you have a very special situation with yourself right now. You were diagnosed with kidney cancer, and you're here now. But I want to get started first on what your life was like before any of this. Could you give us a little bit of a history or background as to, what you were doing or what your life was like before any of this happened to you?
Well, I was in California at the time. I came back. I left there in about mid-70s. Mm-hmm. Came back in about mid-80s.
So you left Guam in the mid-70s,
yeah,
and then came back in the mid-80s, and you lived in California, yeah, for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. What were you doing in California?
I was going to school there. Going to school
High
back.
school?
Yeah, high
Middle
school.
and high school.
Yeah.
But you were born here in Guam?
Yes, ma'am.
Where here in Guam?
Jonia.
So you're from Jonia?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when you came back to Guam, what were you doing here in Guam?
I was working for Fence Masters. Mm-hmm. It's a fencing company. Also, I did got rails, mm-hmm, reflectors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you had a pretty normal life, normal upbringing.
Yeah.
Just
independent. I was independent.
Independent.
Yeah.
Always independent.
Yeah, I like to.
You like to be on your own.
Yeah.
And I know that you were raised by your mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And was your mom a single mom at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any siblings at all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I got here in Guam. I got one brother, and then one brother and sister in California.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you have a brother here in Guam.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, at some point in recent years, you started what you like to call being adventurous.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us about that adventurous life.
Meaning, like I said, I like to be independent, so I'll sell things at the flea market. Mm-hmm. And just hang around with my friends, mm-hmm, go fishing. Go fishing, swimming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
you never really had one place to live, like a home where you went home to every night?
No. I'll stay either at a Paseo, mm-hmm, the church in Agana, the cathedral, mm-hmm, chocolate house. That's mostly it. I'll stay, and also in Derdo also, mm-hmm, by the skate park. You
chose that life.
Yeah,
you wanted to do that life.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Why did you choose to live that kind of life?
Just wanted to be independent, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Try to survive is the word.
Try to
survive.
You didn't want to continue to work for the company you were working for at the time?
I would like to. It's not just the pace, the attitude that didn't come with it, which I couldn't, tolerate anymore.
Yeah.
And more than 5 years, I was still getting paid the same amount of money, which is $8.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. And there's some people that would say that kind of life is very difficult, and that it's not for a lot of people. It's not really the kind of life that they want. But for you, you were perfectly happy, perfectly fine with everything.
Yeah, because I'm single. That's why also.
Okay.
I have no family.
Okay.
Yeah,
you have
just
no
on
children.
my own. Yeah.
Okay. What would be a typical day like be for you? Like You know, what would you do? Wake up in the morning. What were some of the things that you did in one day?
Oh, if I was out on the street, which normally I am, I'll help the mailman out here in Dededo, do some, errands for him. I don't know, just clean up around Dededo Park. Yeah.
You would clean up Dededo
Yeah,
Park?
volunteering.
Nice. So people recognized you from around the area?
Yeah.
What did they call you?
My nickname, they call me Shine. S-H-I.
Shine?
Yeah, Shine.
How did they come up with that nickname?
My first cousin, when I came back to Guam, I was, I guess, shining and I had bling bling, as they say. Yeah.
You were shining from,
Yeah.
like you had jewelry or something?
Jewelries and the way I was dressed up.
Oh, so they called
Yeah.
you Shine. That's funny.
Yeah.
So the name stuck with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Stuck with me.
So you would help and clean up at the Dededo skate park. Why would you do something like
Just
that?
helping the community. Like they say, just give back, I guess. Or, I don't know, I just like to love helping.
You're kind of like, it's interesting because a lot of people who live that kind of life, who don't have a permanent home to go to, they're usually the ones asking for help. They're usually the ones asking for money, looking for a place to live. But you're not asking,
No.
for help. You're the one who wants to give back.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about, did it ever occur to you, or did you ever think that, you wanted more at any point? You wanted to have more than what you had?
I don't know, I was just enjoying my life. Like I'll sell things at the flea market. Yeah. I ask people if they got anything that they're gonna get rid of. And like, just come to my house and I got some items you could take a look at.
Yeah.
So I'll take that and I'll sell it at the flea market.
It's kind of like what some people would call a minimalist
Yeah.
lifestyle. You had
Yeah.
very few belongings,
Yeah.
helped the community, but you were happy.
Yeah, I was happy.
And then, did your family ever express any kind of concern?
Yeah, of course, my brother always tell me, to come back home. But I'll come back, I'll come and visit him. Because like I said, there's only two of us.
Yeah.
And I'm out of the 7, there's only four of us. So I'll come by and visit him. But
Okay.
my brother's always, his door is always open, always.
Of course. Yeah.
Always.
Because it's just the two of you here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother's like, how do you call this word? My brother that I stay with right now, it's like my brother, my mother, my father,
He really takes care of you.
He's my rock. He's everything.
Yeah. I noticed that when you talk about him, it's very dear to your heart. Were you guys very close growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I didn't get to know him as much because I was in California. He was in the army. And I didn't know that he was also helping me and my sister, meaning I call that giving money to my mom's sister, for our clothing and things like that.
Yeah.
Then they call that lump sum, I think it's called.
You also made a lot of friends.
Oh yeah.
In that in the last few years.
Yeah.
How would you compare your life, your adventurous life, where you were just out there doing what you want to, meeting new people, selling stuff at the flea market, helping clean up the community, versus the life that you had before that, where you were working a regular job, not really getting paid a lot of money, not moving up in your company? Which life, like, what was the difference between those two lives?
Well, being adventurous, you don't have to be told what to do. You could get up and how do you call this word? Enjoy life. Like I said, I'm single. I could breathe my own air. I'm not saying I don't like to be told, but
Yeah.
It all depends on how, what do you call this? What are you yelling at me at?
Yeah.
If you tell me to do my job and I'm doing it, then you're telling me that's not the way to do it.
Right. Yeah. So, it was just this year that you received the news
Yeah.
about your diagnosis. I'm just going to ask you a little bit about the diagnosis, but we can talk a little bit more about it after the break. But so in March this year is when you were diagnosed.
Yeah.
And what were the symptoms that you were feeling? What prompted you to go seek help?
I was urinating blood. was in the beginning it was just a little. I didn't take it serious,
Okay.
you know. So, but I was in so much pain, stomach-wise.
So it was urinating blood and you were in pain.
No. I urinated just a little.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know it was,
Right.
serious at the time. But my stomach was really, really in pain. And then a couple of days or whatever, then that's when I really peed. It was in the evening, and then to the next morning I saw that it was really blood.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when did you decide to go to the hospital?
So I went to GMH and told them about it. So they told me that I might have cancer, So they told me to go to a appetite specialist. I think it's across EPAL.
Right.
But before I went there, let's say the next day, I called first. They told me that the doctor I was supposed to see is off island.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you return to the hospital after that?
No,
Okay.
I didn't go back. I was already released when it was just the same day that they told me to go see the next day.
To see the specialist?
Yeah.
Okay.
So down the line again, I urinated blood.
How many, how long, like how many
Maybe
days, weeks?
Maybe about prior to that, about less than a week, maybe 2-3 days later,
Okay.
I urinated blood again.
Again.
So I went back to GMH. They told me, they gave me Motrin.
Oh,
Yeah.
for the
Sent me-
pain?
Yeah, for the pain.
Okay.
So they sent me back home again. And then down the line again, maybe within that prior, maybe about a week again or less, I urinated blood again. But I called GRMC, said, twice I went to GMH and they told me that, that they gave me only medication and told me to your specialist, but he wasn't around. So the operator told me, or whoever who answered the phone told me I could come in, just talk to the ambulance. So they took me there.
So you were brought there by ambulance?
Yeah.
Okay, so where did they pick you up from here?
I was down there in Ganya. They picked me up at Chamorro Village.
Oh, okay, because you were staying in that area at the time.
Yeah, in that area.
I see. Okay. Well, when we get back from we're going to take a quick break. We can talk a little bit more about, your experience as far as getting diagnosed and all of that. And maybe you can even shed some light on, what your thoughts are now, now that you're basically on your deathbed already, and you're told you don't have much longer. So when we get back, we'll talk a little bit more about what to expect ahead and, what your feelings are about this.
Okay.
So we'll be right back. Welcome back to My Story. During our break, Julius shared with us some inspiring words about how the community, especially our government, can do more to help people like him with cancer, especially with resources stretched so thin. Quote, "The government and the community should reach into their hearts, not their pockets," is what he told us. We continue with our interview of Julius Hunt. Okay, so you're talking about the third time you had to go to a hospital. You went by ambulance to GRMC.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
what the lady on the phone told you.
I told them I wanted to go there.
Okay, so they
Because,
sent an ambulance to come get you.
No, I called the ambulance first.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
And I
And
see.
then
So you told
while
them.
they were coming.
Uh-huh.
Then I told them to. Then I called GRMC. So they told me to tell the ambulance just to.
Take you to GRMC
Yeah.
instead of GMH.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
GMH would have been closer, right? Because you were in Agania at the time.
But I didn't want to go there already twice. That, they made to me a boo boo. Yeah.
Yeah, they sent you away
Yeah.
without really helping you,
Yeah.
basically. So you got to GRMC. Tell us about what happened there. Once you got there, what did they do to you to try to figure out what was the situation?
They did some X-ray, and they did found out that I do have cancer, stage 4.
Wow.
And then they say give and take, within 2 weeks they're supposed to do an operation, but they say they got to do it less than that because if they don't do it, then I will pass away.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you get to GRMC. They do a series of tests on you to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on,
Yeah.
and they tell you got cancer,
Yeah.
stage 4. It's very advanced,
Yeah.
and you need to do an operation now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to die.
Yeah.
So did you do the operation that same day? When did it happen?
Maybe
Like a day later?
If I came on a Monday, they probably just did it the following week, Monday.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like about a week later
Yeah,
when
a
you
week
when you
later.
had the surgery done.
Yeah.
They had all the people that you need, all the specialists you needed
Yeah,
there. They were
yeah.
all there.
Yeah.
What kind of cancer did they?
They told me I had kidney
Kidney
cancer.
cancer.
In fact, they moved one kidney also.
They removed the kidney.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is the kidney that had the cancer,
Yeah.
the tumor in it.
Yeah.
Okay. After they removed it, how much longer were you at the hospital before they sent you home?
About a week and a half.
A week and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did some recovery there.
Yeah.
Okay, and then while you were there, what did they tell you after the surgery? Was it like, you've got surgery done? Did they give you like an expected timeline?
No.
Did they say you're gonna,
No. After that, then maybe on my own, I wanted to be discharged.
Okay.
So they discharged me, and they told me that how to put this way? They told me that there's still some what they call so-called bad tumor in me. That they cannot.
That they can't remove.
Yeah, they cannot remove.
Where was it located?
I'm not sure.
Okay, but they were able to remove. Okay, so they
But
removed
it is in the back though.
the back
yeah.
that they can't really touch.
Yeah.
I see. I'm assuming because it's like near the spine or it's too
Yeah,
risky.
probably.
Okay. And did you have to do any kind of other therapy like radiation?
Yeah,
or
I did radiation, but I disregard chemo.
Chemo.
Yeah.
Why is
So
that?
I had radiation for 1 week straight.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did they tell you that radiation was supposed to do?
Just to like I guess because at that time I had like in the back where my tumor is at, I had what they call shocking sensation, really painful if I touched the bed, anything.
Oh, wow.
That I had a bad attitude from that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did the radiation therapy for 1 week.
Yeah.
Did you do it at GRMC?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would go there and get
Yeah.
the therapy
Cancer
done?
care will pick me up at a different location.
Guam Cancer Care?
Yeah, they'll pick
Okay.
me up and drop me at to do my radiation for about even take 15 to 30 minutes around that area.
And then they would take you back to wherever they
Yeah,
picked you
yeah.
up at. Okay.
I was still staying down in Agani.
How did
at
you
the time.
feel about these services that were being provided to you? That you had some help. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I felt good that there's people out there that cares for the community.
Yeah.
You know.
No matter their status.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Cancer care, hospice. It was right there when they told me after the radiation I saw my doctor at the doctor's appointment, so they told me that there's nothing else they could do anymore. So that's when they told me about hospice. But I didn't want it in the beginning to give them a chance. I got a friend, the Camachos, her name is Frances. She's a 10-year cancer patient, so she said I should give it a try.
Yeah. So initially you didn't want to get the
Because
help?
I still had attitude. Even when they came in the beginning, I had attitude. I didn't expect this, just came as a shock, having cancer.
Yeah. When did that attitude change?
Oh, just I've been mid part of March or ending part of March.
When you saw that they were really...
No one they told me that I had cancer. Already even my taste buds. Yeah.
You decided to accept the help that you were getting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you didn't have, initially you didn't even have any kind of insurance,
No,
whether
no.
Medicaid or
No.
private insurance.
No.
So how were you able to pay for your doctor visits and all of that, your operation?
Also by the ending of March, my friend that's had 10-year cancer, she's the one that really helped me out. She has some money, so we got my Guam ID, my Social Security, and also my birth certificate. So
So you didn't have any of that?
Yeah, before, yeah.
You didn't have a birth
Because
certificate, you didn't have your ID, you didn't have your Social Security?
because somebody stole my backpack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you
And
didn't
all
have any
my-
identification on you?
Yeah, at the
But
time.
your friend helped you get all
Yeah,
of that?
yeah.
Okay. So that you could apply for
Yeah,
Medicaid?
for Medicaid.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you got all of that, you applied for Medicaid, you got approved, and that going forward helped pay for your medical expenses.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
before that,
yeah.
how were you able to pay for your medical expenses?
No, I guess the hospital just, they must accept people even though, they're not cancer, whatever. It's their job that they have to accept the patient, to take them in, even if no insurance, they must.
Yeah.
So they accepted me, especially when they found that I have cancer.
That's very nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice. And the other programs like Guam Cancer Care, the Calvo Foundation, helped provide like your rides to and from.
Yeah.
Medication, they also helped you with that, assisted you
Medication,
with
no, that's through Medicaid.
that? That's your Medicaid, okay.
Yeah, through Medicaid. So we got this hospice will be the one to how do this? Will recommend what I guess from their doctor what medication I should take and all that.
Yeah.
So they'll be the one to pick it up for me.
I
And
see.
thank
Okay,
them
so
so
they
much.
assisted you
Yeah.
to make sure that you were receiving it and all of that.
And
Okay.
that's through Medicaid already.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's obvious now. You're here, lying down. You're unable to walk, and you've gotten to a point where you're now here, where you're told you don't have much longer to live.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind when you hear words like that? When you receive hospice care and you're reminded that your time here is very limited.
Well, in the beginning, when I could walk, when they told me that I had 6 months, I just wanted to go crazy. For one thing, I just, didn't accept it. I have cancer, but
You were in denial.
yeah, in denial. But I had to accept it. So when they told me, I told them, could be anybody's, thoughts or guess that, I could go crazy. Meaning, I could go rob a bank. I could, things like that. But I didn't want it to think the wrong way. I just wanted to stay focused and, hopefully the people out there that has cancer, they tell them, this is how many months you got,
There's really
please don't go crazy and do what I wanted to do in the beginning, change it, life must go on, life must go on no matter what, even if they give you how many months.
Yeah. There was no hope. There was no like, hey, we might be able to extend your life if you did this, or it was really, you've got 6 months, there's no way around it.
It's only up to God. Only God knows.
And now, you're here, you're laying down, you're unable to walk. I see you've got an oxygen tank here. You've got hospice coming out here. And, usually when you think of the word hospice, it usually means, end of life.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you still want to do, knowing that you don't have much time? Is there anything else that you think?
No. Well, I had my birthday on July, and my brother and my sister there in California, they came over.
Wow.
And that was nice of them to, come over. Especially my brother, I was more worried about him than me because my brother has what do you call that heart transplant or
Oh, okay.
And he's
So
going
he had
to
heart
dialysis,
surgery.
yeah.
Oh.
And he's going to dialysis,
And he came out here to see you.
Yeah,
Wow.
I was more worried about him, but came out pretty good. We had a family reunion. Yeah, not just a birthday.
How did that make you feel, knowing that
Felt
you're,
good.
you had
Felt
everyone
good that,
here?
my family's, still around me.
Are you afraid to die?
Well, who doesn't? But, I just move on, Just move on.
Are you happy with the life that you've lived?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and I'm really glad that we were able to meet you and interview you and have you share your story. I think it's very important to the community to hear, all sorts of people from all walks of life and all stages of cancer. And I think what you have and what you're doing is going to teach a very good lesson to our community. So thank you very much, Julius. It's
Thank you.
very nice to meet you. Very pleasure to interview you on this episode of My Story.
All right, thank you.
Anything else you want to say? Any message you
Yeah.
want to give to your family or friends?
Yeah, I would like to say thanks very much to Hospice and to Francis and Floyd Camacho. That's it. I can go on.
Okay. Thank you. Welcome back, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of My Story. As uncomfortable as that may have been for some of you to watch, this is the side of cancer many of us don't get to see. But that's the reality of cancer. It's ugly, painful, brutal, emotional, stressful, and for some like Julius, even expected to be agonizingly fatal. But for every successful story we've gladly shared, there are those untold stories that also need to be known, which is why we here at My Story strive to capture all sides of this horrible disease in an effort to educate the public and hopefully one day get rid of cancer once and for all. Thank you to Julius for meeting with us and sharing your story, and a huge thank you to his social workers from Health Services of the Pacific for reaching out to us to be able to shed some light on this very important issue. From all of us here at My Story, adios.